What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to bring you a little bit of a different type of video, and that it's going to be what is actually on my phone. Now currently I have an iPhone XS Max, 10 Max, whatever you want to call it. That is currently what I've been running. I've had it for 2 years now, so this is kind of how I have it set up. Currently on iOS 14.1, I believe. I don't know. It's the new, whatever the newest one is. It usually updates automatically. But I thought I'd give you a good idea of what's on my phone, how I use it. Probably could organize it a little bit better, but this will give you an idea of what we have here. So down here at the bottom, of course, I have phone, messaging, iMessage, Gmail, which is my primary mail source, and then I have Apple Music. Those are generally what I use the most. But when you come over here and look at the top, so this is where you can start adding widgets with the new iOS. So going over to the left, I haven't really messed with this, so nothing's really set up. Here, it's generally just how it came stock. I don't really mess with any of the stuff over here when I swipe to the left. But for here, for my first widget, obviously I use weather because it's just easy, quick way to do that. And then I have my battery widget there, and then I have my fitness. So I'm slacking a little bit here. And that's it for the widgets. I've played around with a lot of them, but these are generally the ones that I like most of the time. So then I have these little folders here that I generally try to keep things somewhat organized in. So for my video and music, you can see I have HBO Max, Netflix, and YouTube TV are the ones I use the most. We do use Disney Plus. My wife does more than anything. I do not use Hulu, SoundCloud, or Spotify, so I could probably get rid of those. YouTube, I do, every once in a while. On Amazon Prime, that's actually logged in under my wife's name because she's a Prime member. So again, I don't use that. The top three are the ones I generally only use pretty frequently. So when it comes to productivity, this is kind of a mixed bag. I have a little bit of everything in here. We have Google Maps, which I do use fairly frequently. Outlook I use for work because you can sync it to your phone through there. Google Keep I use fairly often. Weather's stored in there. Google Calendar, I use that off and on, but I usually use the Outlook calendar because, again, it's for work, and that's usually where I keep most of my stuff at. Contacts, Google Drive, Sheets. Sheets I use pretty often. I usually use that for Excel for keeping just general random stuff. That's how I do my checking account, is through that. Files, never use. Not really sure why that's there. I don't think you can delete it. Some of these you can't actually delete, so you're kind of stuck with them. So for social, these ones, again, I usually use the top ones the most. Instagram, TikTok, and SnapBridge. Those are the ones I use fairly frequently. I don't use Snapchat anymore. I don't really use Twitter. Facebook messaging is more for a few of my family members use that, so I have to kind of keep that on there for that. Otherwise, I never use that. Photos and Google Photos. I generally prefer Google Photos, but sometimes I use the regular photos mainly to delete stuff off my phone. I don't keep a whole lot of stuff on my phone all that often. So that's it for that. So jumping into utility, I generally only use settings, Nest, mainly right because we have 2 Nest cameras set up. Actually, I think the front one's turned off. Google Home, I don't use. Google Wi-Fi, I do use that because that's where we have our Wi-Fi network for, or with. So I generally use that. Calculator, I actually use that pretty frequently. So was thinking about moving that to a different section. App Store, never use. Safari, never use. And Wallet, generally never use. Authenticator, that is actually for work, for setting up my Outlook calendar. You need that on there to authenticate it. It's mainly a security thing. But generally settings, calculator, those are the only ones. And the Nest, didn't really know where to put my Nest camera stuff at, so it's kind of over there. Same with Google Wi-Fi. And then these are other options that I use almost daily, and that is a clock, mainly to set my alarm in the morning. That's generally what I do with that. And obviously camera. Overcast, that is the podcast app I actually use. I've messed around with using Spotify and thought about switching over to that, but so far I'm really happy with Overcast, which is only on the iPhone, so that's one negative, is that it's not on your other Android platform, and then, or it wasn't the last time I checked. And then we have your Apple Music down here, which I use pretty frequently. So those are kind of how that is. I've messed around with putting another actual widget up here. That way it would push everything down. But so far I haven't really found one that I actually liked. So now we're going to get to what I would say is more of my garbage. So on this screen to the right, this is stuff that I rarely use. Some of the stuff I probably need to take off here and organize it a little bit better. Translate, I use that for work sometimes, mainly because I don't speak Spanish. And that's mainly the patients that come in that I have to interact with from time to time. You're not supposed to use that. You're supposed to use the translator that they provide at the hospital, but sometimes those don't always work, and sometimes they're not in the room because they're out of them. So I have that on there just as a backup, just in case. So finance, Capital One, PNC. I don't use Starbucks. I don't know why that's on there. Actually, I think I may still have some Starbucks money on my cards. That's probably why I have it on there. But I don't use that much. We make our own coffee at home generally, so don't use that very often. Extras, these are things that I really can't get rid of. I do not use any of these. I've used, obviously, Find My Phone before, and I have used Apple Music, but other than that, I don't use any of these. Shopping, these are just random things. Again, I do not use these very often, but I have Kroger, Retail Me Not, eBay, Amazon Seller, which I don't sell stuff on there anymore. Apple Store, Shortcuts, Figs, they sell scrubs, and Target. Again, I don't really use any of these. I should probably use the Kroger one more because I used to use their digital coupons, which was nice, but haven't been doing that. And then we get to the wear and fitness, so health, fitness, watch. Pretty common sense stuff there. And that's really it for all my actual folders. So these are things that I actually use pretty often, but I haven't put them in any type of folder or deleted them yet. Fandango, I don't ever use anymore. Actually, have my account got hacked twice through there, so I deleted everything and don't use their stuff. Flickr, don't use that anymore all that frequently. Lightroom I use fairly often, just to, if you're wanting to do some photo editing really quickly, it's pretty easy to do that. Dropbox, I never use. OneDrive, I use for work from time to time, so I have that on there. Creative Cloud, I don't know if I use this or not. Nope. Doesn't look like I use it that often because I haven't set anything up through it. Google, I do use this from time to time. It's kind of nice. It basically has these cards that you can go through, and it kind of learns off your history on stuff you like, don't like. Airbnb, used to use that fairly frequently in the past. Obviously don't now because of the pandemic and all the COVID stuff. I got Translate down here, so this is the Google one, this is the Apple one. The Apple one, actually, I believe you cannot delete. So I usually use one or the other. They both have their pluses and minuses. YouTube Studio, I use that fairly frequently to check on the YouTube channel. And Microsoft Edge, I recently just downloaded that to just try it out some. It's not something I use. Same thing with Safari. I mainly use Chrome, which I have over here at the front. But it's always nice to have multiple browsers on there just in case you have one that's not supported. Sometimes work stuff doesn't like opening with Chrome, so I have to use a different type of browser for that. So that's really it. That is how I currently have my phone set up. Again, I have not touched a whole lot of this in a while, and sometimes it's hard for me to find stuff on here because I think I have too many apps. So that's something I'll probably look to do, is to look to kind of try to simplify things. And at some point I would like to get this organized, because some of these, like Google Media Controls, I won't use. Lightroom I do use from time to time. And that's really it, guys. So that is what is on my phone. Again, this is a iPhone 10 or XS Max. I've had it for a while. Probably looking to upgrade soon because I don't like using cases, but I don't have AppleCare for it anymore, so I'm terrified that I will break it. And then it'll probably cost $400, $500, $600 to fix it, because that's how Apple does their stuff. And that's it. So that is what is on my phone. If you guys have any questions, comments, or like random videos like this, feel free to leave the comments below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.